Glycemic index. Huh? Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Mine, it's not Ishkana, it's not showing Ishka, right?
No, it's Dr. Javi. Yeah. I'm making you as the host, huh? Yeah. And
Not yet.
Why are you talking on the phone with me?
Yes, I wanted to ask. Mute.
ಹ್ಮ್ ಏನ ಹೌದು ಪವರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ
सुमन का फोन आया था सुमन का सुमन पुरी she says what is Ishka and I said it's my brand and I had it earlier also she said you had it earlier which one I said Keva she said I didn't even know about it
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm evening to everybody. We are still having participants coming in, so we'll wait till 2 more minutes. So good evening, everybody. A warm welcome from Ishka Healthcare, Bangalore. And Ishka Healthcare provides you with the naturopathy, Ayurveda, and yoga under one roof. And today's session is on diet and diabetes by a naturopathist doctor, Dr. Aditya Handa. Doctor, over to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. Myself, Dr. Aditya. I'm a naturopathy doctor working in this field for probably 5 years. And it's been a very common for us to think about diabetes as such because since we already know diabetes and so-called all the other sedentary lifestyle diseases is on the stake of whatever be the cause of our progression. So the day by day, we can see that our health has become more and more worse. Our health has actually become more and more sedentary in lifestyle. So that is the reason why we thought to give you a perspective about how health as such will be good if you could just take care of, let's say, diet as per our understanding. Because diet is one way where actually we can see a lot of things can actually change for you. So today we are bringing you a little bit of concepts of what are there in the medical science. At the same time, concepts what we as the alternative medicine, especially naturopathy, thinks. So taking across to you two slides as such. So today we will be just looking across what exactly we mean by these things, such that it makes us feel what actually food and how food can be taken care by ourselves, or how we can eat and what we are supposed to eat, and how does food itself causes a conflict of interest. Because obviously many of you have seen, you eat rice, they have a complaint. You eat chapati, they have a complaint. You eat sweets, they have complaint. You eat fruits and vegetables, people have complained. So I'm not trying to be more justifying what exactly you're supposed to eat. It depends on your body and all the things, but at least let us look into what exactly is good according to science, rather than just looking around people and what they are doing. So what is diabetes as such? So diabetes, we need to understand, it's just the sugars which are there in your body are not being controlled by a controlled policeman, which is called as insulin. And they are circulating throughout your bloodstreams, no matter what, and also damaging your cells on its way. So diabetes, there are three basic types: type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes. Type 1 is where you don't have a production of insulin as such because of some autoimmune disease, or basically some, let's say, during your childbirth or after your childbirth, there has been some complication with your pancreas. Type 2 is the majority cause of all our disease as such, because type 2 is nothing but sedentary lifestyle. You do not go, or you do not do any activity, is the reason why you have type 2 diabetes. Gestational is when you are pregnant and you are diagnosed as diabetes, and that carries even after you give your birth to your normal human child. So you need to understand what are the symptoms, risk factors, and complications to talk more about diabetes. So there are basically, you need to understand, symptoms are you feel a lot of hunger, a lot of thirst, and also you have a very unhealthy lifestyle, which is sedentary in nature, and that is what you like. And also you keep on going for a urinating here, I mean, every hour or so that you take trips to the loo as such. So these are the few symptoms, and that is not the gold standard symptoms as such. There are other things like you feel a lot of sweaty, and you also feel a lot of pangs, which you get hunger pangs here and there whenever you are looking at. Same time, you have a risk factor. When we say risk factor, these are the things which you should take care of. Though you might not have any symptoms, but these risk factors are the reason why you can get diabetic as such profiling. It need not be just your genetics or your family history. Even if you're not sitting and if you're eating too much based on erratic lifestyles, you're smoking at the same time, you're also having alcohol consumption, then these things will actually increase your levels of glucose. That will increase the level of insulin, that can lead to diabetes. We are behind insulin for a long duration. Why? Because if there is no insulin, the body will not take up these sugars in your blood. What happens if there is more sugar and if there is no insulin? You can see something like acidic blood, which is the cause for a hyperglycemic state, that can lead to kidney failure, that can also lead to difficulty in your vision, that can lead to cognitive impairments, and also stroke. So these are the few complications if you don't take care of something as minute as diabetes, which can be controlled through your food. So if you want to look at the chemistry of it, you need to understand that basically all the sugars are made up of two base elements: fructose and sucrose. Fructose being just that it's a fruit in nature, sucrose being a non-fruit in nature. To be more precise, all the sucrose is nothing but your rice, wheat, and all the other thing which are grass derivative, including sugarcane and sugars. Whereas fructose is more of fruits in nature, vegetables in nature, who have ready-made source of absorption. I'll go into that absorption a little moment later. So you need to understand these are the two basic ingredients which is taking care of entire body. So you need these fructose in your body to the same way you need sucrose in your body. Fructose is what we call as levorotatory, and sucrose is what we call as dextrorotatory. You need to understand the body needs some kind of a vehicle. The body needs some kind of a partition or some kind of a bond for its dextrorotatory in nature to turn into the cell for absorption. That is the reason why sucrose uses insulin to get into the cell. Whereas fructose, which is always levorotatory, you don't need any vehicle to carry on. So that is the reason why levorotatory foods can just get into your system without hampering any of the biological changes. So the more sucrose you eat, the more insulin the body requires, and thus body becomes more dependent on this. Similarly, you need to understand how do we classify these based on insulin dependency. There is a scale, there is an index which we call as glycemic index, which measures the amount of sugars available for utilization. So high glycemic foods are basically sucrose in nature. Low glycemic food are basically fructose in nature. As I said, body needs levorotatory in nature. That means body relies on more of low glycemic index food, thus reducing the dependency of insulin. So you need to understand next time when you go for medical checkup, just not fasting blood sugars and postprandial blood sugars or HbA1c, which has been on the trend. Also, you can check for insulin dependency. Very rare of the people are doing this dependency test, but actually you can go and get this done so that it differentiate what exactly is your problem and why diabetes as such is, or why sugars in your body are not getting utilized. So as I said, here is a glycemic chart which measures the effect of carbohydrates on blood sugar. As you can see, high glycemic have a high threshold. Within an hour, they are completely utilized or they are completely disintegrated because of insulin. Whereas low glycemic index foods, they are drastic in nature, take some time for the body to absorb and then utilize. Thus, making sure that the so-called sugars are present throughout your day-to-day activity. So here is a chart where you say glycemic index, low glycemic index is having 55 or below. High glycemic index is made up of 70 or above. So here you can see the first one, snacks and starch comprises most of the high glycemic foods. Whereas as you go the chart above, you can see vegetables, fruits and dairies are comparatively better. I'm not telling vegetables are the only fruit or the starch is the only bad food. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand the concept of glycemic index or the glycemic content in the foods as such. So we'll get on to the what kind of a food we are supposed to eat, why we are supposed to eat, and what is the importance of these things in our day-to-day activity. But before that, I would like you to tell what is the necessity for prevention or how we can prevent this kind of a so-called disease as such. So you have to manage this because you can make sure that it is not too much burdening your system by reducing your refined starch, maida or multi-purpose flour. Also reduce your carbs. Also see to it that you cut your sugars. Reduction is not complete cessation. You need to understand that. Regular workout, here we would rather promote yoga rather than gymming. I'll come to that in a moment. And drinking a lot of water, because you need to understand anytime if you have gone to kitchen, if something has gone above, let's say sugar has gone above, you mix water to see to it that the solution is more balanced. The same thing happens in your body. The acidic level of your blood, acidity in your blood increases. To reduce that, you need to drink a lot of water so that it can nullify the effect. At the same time, you have to see to it that you lose your additional weight. Weight can be determined not just by checking your waistline, it can also be checked through BMI. So BMI is a very trickier way today because it doesn't correspond to many of our regimes as such. But what we can do is one thing. For losing your weight, you just have to check your height. So your height minus 100 is the average, so-called average or the limit of your body weight. So you see to it that you portion out your sizes. That means you take complete glycemic index food and you see that all of them are balanced in nature. And more importantly, no to sedentary life. It has been more than 60 days. You all are at home. But now at least take a stroll wearing a mask and preventing a little bit of or having a little bit of social distancing altogether. So management, so everybody knows about diabetes and everybody talks about management, like you have to do this, you have to do that, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So here naturopathy and yoga talks about two very important aspects. Naturopathy talks about naturopathic treatments. Obviously now we cannot give you at the moment, but definitely we'll come back to it. Exercises is what generally naturopathy say, but since we are always inclined in the terms of yoga, you would rather prefer yoga than exercises. But yes, exercises is a must, at least a minimum of 45 minutes to 60 minutes a day. Diet, as we are telling, a balanced glycemic index wise level of Diet is more prescribed. Yoga, we talk more about pranayama because everything happens just because of the breath. So if you are more conscious about how you breathe, this entire system can change from the way it functions. At the same time, we say Surya Namaskaras are any dynamic movement or rhythmic in nature. Surya Namaskara is more dynamic as well as rhythmatic. At the same time, we would like to tell more of mindfulness because ultimately it's all in your mind. So if you could just take care of your mind, then slowly you can take care of the chemical nature of your body, which will help in the spiritual practices. So to take care of your body, to take care of your mind, you need to have your spiritual sense as well, because that is how you can be more focused onto something. So as I say, there is always a myth about diabetes. I'm not here as a myth buster, but yes, these are the general questions which people ask me a lot of time. So first is, what is diet in relation to yoga, in relation to us as such. So in yoga, we divide this into three main aspects: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So rajasic and tamasic are basically a no-no because of a lot of things. But yes, sattvic is the one which yoga says as it is more important if it is more fresher, if it is not stored, if it is not refrigerated. At the same time, if it is not let for over a long period of time, that means that if you cook now, you eat now, not store in your fridges. At the same time, people always ask me about sweets. As a diabetic, should I completely avoid sweets? Definitely not. Not as a controversial though, but yes, sweets, if you really want, if you have a craving, see, that is how body works. You don't give sweets, you crave for chocolates, you don't crave for fruits and vegetables. So yeah, the craving is true. So that is a psychological impact of sugars not there. At the same time, you can just change the timings. Instead of having two gulab jamuns, you can have one gulab jamun early in the morning or for your breakfast. So that will see to it that the entire day your body is balanced. Calories is also one thing where people ask me, I take about 1,000 to 1,000 kilocalories. Is it enough? Calorie is not the main source of you to cut down on sugars. In fact, what kind of food you're eating is more important. Low glycemic index foods may have a high calorific value, but you cannot divide foods based on calories as such. So importance of the right food is, as I say, balanced glycemic control, at the same time taking care of entire body as such. So what should be an ideal exercise? See, if you can't do yoga for a given reason, exercise should contain not just movement of your leg, but a movement of your shoulder, movement of your neck, movement of your abdomen, movement of your all the parts of your body, especially your back. So this cannot be done altogether if you just keep on walking or gymming. That is the reason why we say yoga is better, because it take care not only of your external body, that is muscles, but also internal self, that is your harmony, that is your chemical nature, and that is your more of a focusing kind of a thing which comes to your body. So that is the reason why in yoga we always say that focus is more important, breath is more important. At the same time, what you're feeling before and after is more important. And this leads to positive thinking, because you can see the progress in a day-to-day activity. Especially when you're doing yoga, you feel more calmer, you feel the reduce in your stresses, that reduces the anger, the helplessness. But this might not be the same in gymming. When you start gymming, you start comparing with people around you, you start comparing with the muscle toned bodies of other people. So what happens is yoga, yes, at one moment you might feel difficult initially, but once you start the flow, once you start into getting the rhythm of it, you would love. And well, every religion talks about fasting, but doctors say, or many allopathic doctors believe that fasting is not good when you're diabetic. So fasting and diabetes is entirely a different story. If you're having a very huge meal, then probably you can go for fasting. But when I say fasting, it is not just avoidance of food completely. See, you need to understand, just because you're diabetic, everything if you stop is not going to help you. At the same time, if you want to do everything, that is also not going to help you. That is the reason why we tell you to see to it that you come in terms with how your body is acting, know what your actions are, and how well you are able to take care of these movements which are happening in your system. So once you take care of these things, and slowly and steadily, you can see to it that this phase of fasting can also be successfully be done. So diet chart. Unfortunately, there is no gold standard diet chart. It might be a icebreaker for many of you after listening to so many slides. When I say there is no gold standard diet chart, you need to understand everybody have their own way of doing things. Everybody have their own way of getting into the motion. But the problem is you cannot have a unique diet chart. That is the reason why I have kept you a little bit of foods which you can take and how you are supposed to take. As you see, your breakfast has to be the maximum of the day. The lunch should be moderate and the dinner should be as low as possible. So anything and everything what you want, have it in the breakfast. See to it that you have minimal quantity or later your lunch is much more calibrated. At the same time, your dinner is much more lesser than your lunch and your breakfast comparatively together. So yes, these are the few ways where you can actually come and look into how you want to set your food standards across. So success for your food is diet, which is scientific diet with you, and you have to stick to your protocols of the diet. Exercise, you have to adapt your body. Inner transformation, you have to see to it that you sit and talk to your terms. And also medical, as I said, medicine is more important because, as I said, insulin dependency is the new test which will be easier for you to understand. So be on safer side. So for further personalized diet chart to know you and get an idea about what exactly is your way of doing things, you can always contact us for the services and get yourself working on these extra sweets which you have gobbled these 60 days, and also practice yoga for your own good and people around you. So yes, we are open for the questions. Limiting the time, which is just for 5 minutes. You can either ask for the questions. At the same time, feel free to leave a feedback into this session by typing in your messages, Zoom messaging area. And also looking forward for your participation. We will be doing this more sessions online if you come back and write to us on what subject you are requiring in and what topic you want us to cover. At the same time, tomorrow we have Dr. Joby who will be talking to you on arthritis, 3 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you. So I'm open for the question. Any questions you would like to ask?
Thank you, Dr. Aditya. It was a very beautiful and informative session. Ladies and gentlemen, the class is open now for questions. If any of you have any questions, please do. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, there's one question, doctor.
Yeah.
Is intermittent fasting helpful in diabetes?
Intermittent fasting always helps in diabetes, but you should know how you are fasting in, because going into the fasting and coming out of the fasting is also one of the few things which you should know. So fasting, if you could check what exactly suits your body, that will be more helpful for you. So for that, you can always come up to us and discuss more about it rather than in Zoom conversation. But yes, intermittent fasting will always help you, but not without an advice of a doctor, because your body type will change. So I cannot have a gold standard protocol for you. Yeah. So I got a question from Dr. Sumana Venugopal who says, which are the few asanas and pranayamas are helpful for diabetes? Go as I said, if there is no gold standard diet, then there is no gold standard pranayamas or asanas. Obviously, there is a lot of yogas which are there available online. But only thing is you need to more understand how effective your body is functioning. Are you able to continue whatever be your practical way of doing things for a larger duration of time? For example, if you are starting with Surya Namaskara, see to it that you do it continuously for 21 days and then change the series of it. So irregular changing of asanas is how you can gain mastery over it or the disease as such, not by having a similar asanas as such. And also pranayamas, it is always good if you could do Surya Bedana or anything with the right nostril. So that keeps your system activated and that reduces the so-called negative effect of your body. I also have a question from Abhilasha. How does keto diet affect diabetes? Keto diet is more of a fat-based, let's say a fat-based kind of a thing. but that cannot be done for a longer duration, because a fat is only good if it is done in a smaller duration. So if you have any crash course, you do that, but not on a long diet or a long range of protocol. What happens is, on a longer range, your diabetes is not going to come down or go up, but definitely your other organs and systems are going to affect. That is the reason why we say any kind of a diet always have a prescription of doctor. Like you have a prescription for medicine, similarly you need to have a prescription of these fasting. Not because we are safe or you are safe. It's only for your body to see to it that it works well. So if it works well, then probably it will affect everything in your system also well. So you need not worry whether it is good or bad. That is the reason why complications of these diet comes up, and that is the reason why we are not open to discuss about what is good and what is bad in this kind of a Zoom uh, platform. Any other questions? I hope I have. Yeah, you're welcome. Have last 5 minutes.
You can put your doubts in the chat box. There's no other questions. So please do give your feedback, everybody. And do let us know what topics you would like to listen more on.
You can always write us back, and we'll get back to you regarding the topics. We'll get back to you regarding the disease. We'll get back to you regarding whatever questions you have, and we'll see to it that we'll make this use of so-called lockdown period in a better and effective way to educate ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So we are closing for today. Please do look forward to many more such classes and such sessions, which will be eye-opening to everybody. And please be safe and be healthy. There will be talks and sessions on yoga, on naturopathy, on Ayurveda also. So thank you very much. Doctor, there's another.
Doctor, yeah.
Yeah,
Another question.
yeah. If you want to go for a walk, is it good to walk before yoga or after yoga? It doesn't really matter. If the environment is really good, you can do whenever you want. You need to walk in. When you're walking, you need to look at your environment. If it is really charming, please go to the walk, enjoy your walk, come and sit. You'll be more peaceful in doing yoga. If it is not, then probably you should avoid walking. So there is no question whether it is before or after, but definitely if you do it before, it will be more peaceful for you if the environmental factors are right. So yeah, there's your question, Dr. Sumana. Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Thank you, Dr. Aditya.
Thank you.
Thank you.